strong, Aboriginal women strong. Walk with you, walk with me,
The Blak Markets is about providing small Aboriginal businesses the chance to come to the market and test their arts and craft in the market, and to meet people that want to buy authentic Aboriginal art. It's just really just to show what Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders people do, and for people to understand Aboriginal culture.
I think my artwork very much reflects the engraved sandstone found in Wanneroo country. It's in the Upper Hunter Valley where I'm from, and on the canvas that medium is very, as I say, textured and mixing colour and design to bring through the stories with traditional symbolism. My experiences and growing up in a large, close-knit, extended family is something that I really love to bring to my stories, and the sites that I've visited and learn about the local stories, the local country, you know, the waterways, the wetlands, the mountains, are all elements that I bring to the artwork design and storyline.
My art practice is I'm a painter and printmaker, and when I produce my art and print, they go into galleries and they're quite expensive, so just as a way to make it more accessible to other people and more affordable, I do a range of edition prints. I wouldn't have any of my artwork if it wasn't for the stories of my ancestors and my grandfather, and well, it's just for me to be able to live and to carry on stories too, and share it with a much wider audience as well.
So the Indigenous Art Code was established after the Senate inquiry into misconduct, unconscionable conduct, in the selling of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander art. In August last year, in partnership with the copyright agency Viz Copy and Arts Law, that we launched the Fake Art Harms Culture campaign. And that was in direct response to an increased number of calls from artists saying, yeah, we know there's an issue with dealers not always treating artists fairly and paying them properly, but what about all of the fake product that's out there in the market? So we did go and look at shops, definitely in Sydney, in this region around the Circular Quay and the Rocks and Paddy's Markets, and then Swanston Street in Melbourne and the Queen Vic Markets and the mall in Alice Springs, the mall in Darwin, Cairns, where the situation's just horrendous. And just went in and pretended to be a consumer and tried to unknow what I know about authentic product, and ask questions like, who was the artist, where are they from, which language group, how are they remunerated, if it was a merchandise product, is it licensed, and look, on the whole, people just, you know, were giving me responses that were pretty ambiguous, or they didn't know the answers, and in many cases the store holders or the people working in those shops were very honest and said, you know, no, it's not from here, it's from Indonesia, which I guess they've been honest about the origin of the product, and, well, not honest about who made it because they don't know, but honest about who didn't make it. The thing is, that's not illegal in Australia.
Copyright law stops people copying somebody else's original artwork. So if you took one of these artworks and did something that looked very, very similar, that artist could complain. So it does have some protections. And it also stops people who, well, not copyright law, but the Australian consumer laws generally will stop people selling art and saying, oh, this is Aboriginal art, or this is authentic Indigenous art, if in fact it's not. But that's about as far as it goes. So someone who just copies a style and says, Aboriginal art's really popular, I think I'm going to do dot painting because I see a market opportunity there, and they're not copying an actual painting, or they're not saying they're Aboriginal, that's the area that isn't regulated at the moment. So I think what we need is to focus on those consumer laws and say, hey, people are being deceived. our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people are being ripped off because this is something that's unique and special and sacred to them, and yet somehow our laws are allowing anyone to take it and use it in a really, I mean, not only making some money from it, but it's incredibly disrespectful.
We can't compete with the thousands of fake art that's coming into the market and selling them so dirt cheap, you know. They're selling them so dirt cheap that that's what the tourists want. They want that experience to be able to buy cheap work, cheap artwork, Aboriginal art to take back. What they don't realise is that it's not actually done by Aboriginal people. And that's really very unethical. And yeah, if that, you know, we just need to be protected more.
To see, you know, Aboriginal artists being exploited by middle people, I mean, you know, that's got to be done in a sensitive and a way that, you know, really enhances the Aboriginal artist and brings benefit into their communities.
But it's also, it's theft. You know, more and more artists say that it's cultural theft. It's taking control away from those designs and cultural knowledge and information that belongs to those artists and the owners of that knowledge to use.
Government, as a nation, we are so extraordinarily proud of that ancient tradition and culture. We live in a very unique country. It's like no other, and largely because of that. And it's valuable. It brings people to Australia. It's a way that you know, all of the tourism agencies around Australia promote it. So the government should be protecting it and nurturing it and making sure that it's kept for those people.
That's been a lot of lobbying, you know, so many artists, independent artists and Aboriginal community art centres speaking up about the issue and how it impacts their Aboriginal owned and governed businesses. And at the parliamentary inquiry into the proliferation of inauthentic Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander art product was announced in November. The submissions have closed now, so we're just waiting to see what's next.
We're